Marketing is very complex and it's very simple at the same time. If you can't measure it, don't do it.
Hmm.
Whatever you're doing, you should be measuring it. Marketing, it really works hand in hand with sales, right? Marketing tills the soil, but then sales goes and plants the seeds. But are you planting seeds in hard ground or soft, broken up ground? You're going to have a better chance of that plant growing if the ground is tilled. Marketing tills the ground.
You're pre-selling. You're making it easy for somebody to go in and just take the order.
Well, you could be pre-selling, you could be qualifying, right? Because there's no point in trying to sell to somebody who's not qualified to buy or who's the wrong buyer.
Right.
Marketing can basically ferret out the balderdash from those people and save your sales reps the effort in trying to sell to the wrong people.
What are the ad trends that are working right now that most business owners are totally missing?
Well,
Welcome to Built to Scale, the podcast where vision meets action. I'm your host, Quinn Shills, founder of Master Roofing, and I'm here to pull back the curtain on building world-class teams, scaling companies, and turning bold ideas into unstoppable momentum. Let's get to work. Today, we're diving into the world of home improvement marketing with someone who's been at the center of it for nearly a decade, Erwin Dass. Erwin is the general manager and publisher for TheHomeMag, America's #1 home improvement magazine, leading a team that generates $6.5 million in annual revenue and sales with more than 25 years of experience in creative marketing, advertising, and brand strategy. He's seen every trend, what works, what doesn't, and what makes homeowners actually pick up the phone. In this conversation, we're talking about the big shifts in advertising for the trades, whether print is dead or it's more alive than ever, the most unusual and brilliant ads Erwin's seen, his advice for contractors and entrepreneurs trying to stand out in a noisy world. So if you've ever wondered how to get your business in front of the right customers, or how old school print stacks up against TikTok and Google ads, this is the episode you don't want to miss. Let's jump in with Erwin Dass. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So how does someone go from a history and political science degree to running America's #1 home improvement magazine?
So first of all, I do need to say is we have 67 markets in 32 states.
Wow.
And so I'm not running all 67 markets. In Southern California, we have 8 markets, and I'm running 6 of those 8 markets we have.
Wow.
Just for clarity. But I have a strong marketing background. I've been doing marketing for 35 years now, and it's always something that's been of interest to me. So my journey with TheHomeMag, when I first started with the company, I've been with the company 13 years. My first 4 years with the company, I was their marketing director. And when I was the marketing director, I found myself crunching sales numbers, trying to take away excuses from or trying to furnish solutions faster than salespeople could come up with excuses. And so I found myself.
What do you mean?
Well, so a sales rep would say, we can't sell this because we don't have this promotion, we don't have this flyer. And so
Somebody was selling like the ads for your magazine?
right, different
Okay, got
promotions.
it.
And so so proactively it's like, well, we're rolling out a promotion, we're gonna have the flyer, we're gonna have all the materials they need. So now you're giving the salespeople all the tools that they need to be successful to sell. And so I found myself doing that more and more, and I found myself kind of de facto getting into sales management and understanding sales numbers and crunching them. And so because I had been doing that for a while, when the opportunity came, when the publisher we had left, I think I'd learned this at a Tony Robbins seminar years ago, and that is success is when preparation meets opportunity. So I had prepared for the position before the opportunity had even arrived. And so when it arrived, I was ready. I was already a de facto general manager because I'd been
had your hands in everything at that point.
Exactly. Running the marketing channels and then running sales channels and dabbling a little bit in accounting and forecasting. And, when you take over full time, you're knee deep in all that.
What does the position look like now? Like, what's the day to day?
Still coming up.
Marketing is very complex and it's very simple at the same time. If you can't measure it, don't do it. Whatever you're doing, you should be measuring it. Marketing, it really works hand in hand with sales, right?
SoCal homeowners, why pay $15, $20, or even $30,000 for a new roof when instead you can get a new roof for only less than $100 per month? Here at Master Roofing, we serve homeowners with high quality roofs with no hefty upfront costs. So give your house the roof it deserves with zero down and low monthly payments. Why wait? Click the link below to get you a roof you deserve for payments you can afford.
Well, so back then we had two markets. We had our Orange County and our San Diego markets. So today we've added Coachella Valley, Riverside, and San Bernardino. So and we went from 300,000 distribution to 580,000 distribution. So essentially, we've doubled in what we're doing since then. And we were doing about 3 million in volume, and now we're doing, north of 6.5. So today, I'm going to give you the classical generic answer. It's putting out fire drills, on a regular basis, all the usual stuff.
Kind of helping to support the team wherever you can.
Yeah.
For the markets.
On the marketing side, marketing is something that's always interested me. So that's my comfort zone. If you ask me what books I'm reading now, they're usually either marketing or psychology related. And if you ask me what podcasts and what shows I'm interested in, they're usually marketing and psychology related because that's just a comfort zone for me.
When you hear marketing, like if you're a young guy listening to this and you're like, what does marketing really mean? Like, how would you define that in like simple terms to like a kid or something?
Well, sure. Marketing is very complex and it's very simple at the same time. There's one golden rule of marketing that I always say, and I learned this from Seth Godin, who's, I think, the modern guru of marketing. And that is, if you can't measure it, don't do it. So whatever you're doing, you should be measuring it. Marketing, it really works hand in hand with sales, right?
I see Instagram stuff all the time, like a post like, oh, you can become like a millionaire with sales, being good at sales, but you could be a billionaire if you're a great marketer.
Absolutely. Because you are creating the channel in which sales can actually thrive. An analogy I like to use is to say, marketing tills the soil, but then sales goes and plants the seeds. But are you planting seeds in hard ground or soft broken up ground? You're going to have a better chance of that plant growing if the ground is tilled. Marketing tills the ground. Makes it easy for the sales process.
You're pre-selling. You're making it easy for somebody to go in and just take the order.
Well, you could be pre-selling, you could be qualifying, right? Because there's no point in trying to sell to somebody who's not qualified to buy or who's the wrong buyer.
Right.
Marketing can basically ferret out the balderdash from those people and save your sales reps the effort in trying to sell to the wrong people. And that's one of many things they could do. They could also, create awareness, right? If I come to you and I'm selling widgets and my sales rep comes to you and he says to you, Quinn, you want to buy a widget? The first thing you're going to have to say if you have had no marketing is, well, what's a widget? Explain to me, what are these widgets about? With marketing, if you've heard my marketing and a widget is this, it comes in a box, these are what it can and can't achieve. And now you've been educated about marketing, about the widgets through marketing. Now when my sales guy comes and he says, Quinn, do you want to buy a widget? Okay, all that pre-discovery is taken out of the way. Now we can get into, do you really need a widget? And then if you need it, do you want to buy it, right? So marketing has kind of taken away all that other discovery that you would have had, your sales rep would have had to have done. And that makes for a much easier sale.
Do you remember the first time you saw the HomeMag when it was in print and
I do.
thought like, this is going to be big?
Well,
what was the first thought?
So when I started with the company in 2012, the company was founded in 2002. And
so it already had a presence.
Right. It was started in 2002. Ralph Harris, the guy who owns our franchises here in Southern California, came and founded our Orange County chapter in 2008. So by the time I joined the team in 2012, it was a well-established brand. So my wow, this is going to be big. It already was big. So for me, when I saw it, it was more like, okay, this is great where we are now, but how do we, first of all, get traction, get stability, and then how do we grow this thing? And, before you can grow something, you want to grow something on a solid foundation. If your foundation is shaky, you're going to have the Tower of Babel effect, which, you don't want. So, how do we solidify this? How do we get traction by building value with our clients, by signing clients to long-term contracts, by building trust with them, so we can use those foundational blocks to say these are clients that we have, and now we're going to grow. We've established traction with these clients, and so that was really more of like that being the plan when I came on board, because the brand had been around for 10 plus years on a national level, and 4 years already in Orange County. We had very, very, very good traction. As a matter of fact, when we started the Orange County chapter in 2012, there are still 15 active clients today that have advertised with us nonstop since 2008.
Wow.
15.
Something that I love about marketing, the marketing industry and like general, I was just talking with one of my buddies on the phone yesterday on my way home from work. And he's like, he actually owns a roofing company too. And he was saying like, I think I wanna get into the marketing industry but create a marketing agency. And it's like the fact that you can build relationships with clients and have a subscription model. Like when somebody buys a roof, they buy one roof, right? Unless they
Right.
have multiple properties. With marketing, if you take care of your client, if you provide results, it's a great business where you can really scale it. And like you just said, build that foundation blocks with like long-term contracts where customers see results.
Right.
It's it can really scale and grow it, obviously, as HomeMag did,
Right.
because of that recurring revenue model, right?
Sure.
Which
And
is awesome.
and a lot of things today are moving towards subscription based. For example, I grew up. My original background is I was a graphic designer in another life for a long
Nice.
time, and before I kind of dovetailed into marketing and then
Yeah.
got to where I am now. And I, believe it or not, I still have a copy of Photoshop 1.0, the box, the packaging,
Is that the
everything.
original Photoshop?
Yeah, don't know what it's worth. And 1989 or 1990, I believe, I can't
Wow.
remember. And
Wow.
back when it was in its floppy disk install, like I think 18 floppy disks, and to where Adobe has migrated today to its subscription based, that's the reason I'm bringing that up, is they realized after years and years of pirating or whatever, it's actually better, more affordable because it was an expensive product. But if I can partitionally break it up and say, instead of charging you $1,200 to buy Photoshop, how about you just pay me $50 a month?
Yeah.
And then you don't have to worry about the updates or the installation because the cloud will do that. You don't have to buy the new system. When the new version comes out, you don't have to buy it again. And so obviously Microsoft's gone that way. Everybody's going to this subscription based. I mean, even, geez, for the longest time, you got Amazon Prime. Now it's even moved into this subscription based model that if you want to see it advertisement free, you're going to have to upgrade and pay a subscription premium, or Hulu, or all these other things where there's
YouTube.
different
Yeah.
levels of, YouTube, another great example.
Yep.
So I think that's the trend to where people are moving towards. And I think if you can figure out a way how to get incremental money out of your clients, not a lot, but there's a way to justify the value and the spend. So maybe it's like, hey, I'm selling you my repair service, right? I think
For roofing, it's like a maintenance club. Like we
yeah.
have a master roofing care club. So we come
Okay.
out, we do service, we clean out the gutters, we seal the pipes and vents. And
Got it.
that's kind of our subscription model we're working on that provides value to the customer, because who wants to go up on the roof and clean out their gutters
Right.
and make sure that all the pipes are sealed properly. We're in California, the sun really beats down on your roof, can crack the mastic, like
Sure.
all those things. So
It's smart.
yeah, it's trying to find that, like all the biggest companies, like even ChatGPT, right? It's a subscription model. So, if you had to explain the HomeMag to a contractor who's never advertised with you guys before, like how would you explain that?
As succinctly as possible, I'd say, if I had 10 seconds in an elevator, I'd say we're in business to grow business. That's really what we're in business for. We're a lead generator. If if our advertisers don't grow, we don't grow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally that simple. I mean, I can split the hairs and go down many more rabbit holes, but succinctly, that's probably the best way to say it.
You have one person who works with you guys that I always think of when I think of your company. It's a lady. She has black hair.
Crystal Tovar.
She's the closer. She goes out and she's awesome. I remember her. The first time she sat down with me and went over all the options. It was just supposed to be like a quick pitch, and
Yeah.
she the way you just explained kind of the home mag. And you guys have an awesome staff with all the people you guys have. But
Thanks.
she's come, like we actually ended up being at one of the home shows recently, and you guys' booth was right next to us. We were talking with her, but she explained it that way. Where
Big heart.
yeah.
The reason why people buy from Crystal is because they
But she's a strong closer.
yeah, they feel, well, let's break that down. It's because she genuinely
She cares.
about them, right?
For sure.
Do you want to buy from somebody who just wants to be transactional with you, or do you want to buy for somebody who's emotionally invested in your success?
She bought me and my whole team lunch that day. We saw
Not
her at the trade
surprised.
show.
Not surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's an awesome person you guys have there. What's the biggest shift that you've seen in the home improvement advertising space over the past 10 years?
Still coming up.
What are the ad trends that are working right now that most business owners are totally missing?
Well, a couple. Rise of reputation management, for one thing, right? So reputation management is starting to become a little bit bigger as far as, not are you, what kind of business, not like what business are you, but what business are you and like what kind of business are you doing? Shift towards lead aggregators and marketplaces too.
What do you mean?
Well, lead aggregators are like people that basically do marketing, collect a
fee per lead or something?
Yeah, no, a repository of leads, and then go ahead and aggregate it and resell them.
Like Angie's maybe or something.
Angie's could be one. Like I was thinking, like back in the day, a classic lead aggregator would have been like LendingTree.com. They were a lead aggregator. But
so they get a bunch of leads and then they ship them out to like 30 people or something, right?
So taking that and teeing that up against what we do at TheHomeMag, a main fundamental difference between us and Angie's List is with lead aggregators, they take that lead and they sell it to 5 people.
Yeah.
With TheHomeMag, you get
I think it's more like 50.
Sure. yeah. But it's an exclusive lead with us because our business's model is to have, qualified readers organically calling the advertisers. So the only way that that's going to get split is if the person themselves says, I'm going to call roofer A, roofer B, roofer C, which we found you actually want that. People feel much better about doing a job is when they get different quotes, and they by talking to 3 different people, they get educated on the process. And then the person with the best offer and the best deal wins. So I think that's it's good, healthy competition, and it forces everybody to raise their standard. When everybody raises their standard, the product in itself becomes better.
What are the ad trends that are working right now that most business owners are totally missing?
Well, I think one of the things that you have to do in today's economy is make the client the hero. So what typically happens when people place ads is they talk about themselves. We have been in business for 25 years. We are XYZ. We do this. And language, like when you, in your ad, when you can talk about what you can do for the person looking at the ad, you have a way better connection. So, something more along the lines of, we fix your leak, or, we offer 24-hour service. We can come to you, things where you're actually starting to talk to the person rather than list, hey, we do this, we do this. So I think there needs to be a shift when it comes to ads. It's like, tell that person who's looking at that ad what you're going to do for them, not who you are and what you do.
So not we're the best. We're this and that because everyone can say that, but it's more
Right.
of like
Right.
we're here to service you. We're gonna give you that 24-hour white glove service. We're gonna take care of
Exactly.
you. We're gonna give you this free gift along with it. Whatever, something that communicating to the customer.
Once again, it's the psychology. If you want to extend a conversation with an individual, keep asking them questions about themselves. The conversation will never end.
Do you feel like print's still alive in 2025, or
A-
is digital killing it?
Oh, absolutely. It's alive. And I'll tell you why it's more alive than ever. Here's what's interesting, though, what's happening with AI now is with artificial intelligence, you're getting all these bot farms, AI generating all these images where there's videos, was that girl real? Was it not? Is that a real? Is that, and so one of the things that's happening with all this, confusion between reality and digital creation, print is like, hey, the trust factor in print, you don't have to worry if that was a bot or something AI generated. That is a real person, a real ad, a real business. And, the trust factor goes up. It is much harder when you get the home mag to take the home mag, pick it up, walk over to the trash can and throw it away than it is to simply delete, you know, a digital product, an email or banner ad or whatever it is. The pain of separation is much greater with print. And so that really increases the traction of print. We've always over the years said one of the strongest drivers of intent to the web was print. I want to say this was maybe it was just right before COVID. And it was one of the studies that we had looked at. The number one spender of print, and I believe it was 2019, it was Google.
Mm.
Google was spending all this money on print to drive people to, to digital places. Why would you do that? You would only do that if you're, like, who are you targeting?
Google know what works. They know the data.
Absolutely. So, yeah, in 2025, print is alive. It's better than ever because it's a tangible product. The pain of separation is much greater than it is. It's just a lot harder to break up with a piece of paper than it is with a
Something you can
clicking something.
swipe. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting perspective, actually. I haven't heard about that trust factor with print described this way for advertising, but I agree wholeheartedly. Like part of our sales presentation, like instead of doing everything like digitally, like on an iPad, like we'll go ahead and laminate certain things and like show it like physically because I think that I believe it does build more trust to see something and see like a certificate or something printed out versus just on an iPad on a presentation slide or, what have you. And even that's you guys have that sales process too, because when you'll come out to show a business of your product, you'll
Right.
bring the magazines, you'll show
Right.
like success of other customers and how other people advertise. So I that's a very interesting point you said about the
For the longest time, and I still think pretty much today, our target demographic, right, is a upper middle class, middle aged woman, right? And so even though that's who makes the decisions to the demographics that we target. And so when we look at, like, talk to any upper middle class white age woman that and you'll see kind of how they operate. Like if they're thinking about remodeling a kitchen, usually step one is they tear a page out or they dog ear a book in a magazine, or if they're in the digital space, they may go to Pinterest now, I know is big, and so they start their pre research. And so, like with print, if there's like an insert inside a magazine, it makes it convenient to pull it out, put it in the project drawer, or keep the magazine, dog ear it, put it in the project drawer. And now that's something I know exactly where to go to get it when I want to continue my research. With digital products, I know younger generations, they're more wired that way. But keep in mind, the people that the home mag targets in specific are Gen Xers and boomers. Because let's face it, they're the only ones with money right now. If you're talking about somebody who wants to remodel a kitchen, and it's going to cost, north of 60 grand. That you got to pick between those two demographics. Some millennials have money, but not
Not the same if somebody has owned a house for 30 years
Exactly.
and they built up equity and
Exactly.
they know what a quality contractor is and who to pick when they want to do a project.
Absolutely.
I do agree with that.
So yeah, print is alive. It's alive because the people that we target, they grew up with print. Boomers, 100% grown up with print. Gen Xers, like myself, I grew up with print and I've transitioned to digital. So we're hybrid. We're proficient in both, but ultimately, if you want me to reminisce of my childhood, and anytime you ever want to connect in any kind of marketing, if you can get somebody to reminisce and be nostalgic, you're already halfway there. All my greatest memories of books I read and everything, they're all print. I don't have fond visions and memories of flipping through the iPad during high school, reading my books and stuff. It's all my memories are embedded in print.
And it's I guess that's part of connecting with that customer base, right?
Absolutely.
What's the strangest or most unusual ad you've ever seen in a magazine?
So, the strangest or the most unusual, this was, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. It was for an HVAC company. And it was a guy, and he had his family members, and they were kind of posing like gangbangers.
Oh, really?
It was odd. I have no idea of how successful they were, but that's how they wanted to roll.
They wanted to stand out.
Well, definitely that. Definitely that. I guess my question is,
what, they just dressed up like thugs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was odd.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is the best ad you've ever seen?
So, I brought a copy of that, and this is an ad that Renewal by Anderson does. They're a replacement window company, longtime advertiser with us, and it's kind of sort of like this mock fake leave behind piece of, we came, we did a job, and we'd be interested, and it's all like handwritten, and it looks like it's organic, and almost like if you saw this, you thought somebody mocked it up and read it, and in this world of digital, right? When you go to your mailbox and you're sifting through the mail and you see the handwritten card from Aunt Ruth coming, you drop all the other mail. You're opening that up first. You're very interested in what appears to be a genuine non-marketing letter that was written for you. And so they're kind of tapping into that vein. I think that they're pretty successful with this. They're a regular client of ours, and they do a high volume, and so they're getting success. So yeah, this is a pretty interesting piece.
Let me take a look.
Yeah.
So they basically took what, if you're just listening and you can't see, it basically took like a standard ad, and it looks like wrote all over it with blue pen notes, kind of filled out like a mock estimate.
Yep.
And then
highlighted
like, different promotions on it.
Yeah.
And is this something that is like an insert in the magazine?
That's
so
an
it
insert.
sticks out.
Yep.
So it's something that like it's not blending in with all the other ads.
Yep.
And then it probably makes people stop and read through it and figure out what it is. And it looks like a call to action. There's like a deadline on it.
It's the anti-ad ad.
Yeah. That's interesting. I like this. I might copy this.
Yeah. Keep it.
I will keep it.
Yeah, it's yours to keep.
That's a cool one. So if you were starting a roofing company or remodeling business today, how would you spend your first $5,000 on marketing?
So, qualifying question that I would ask first, and that is, that's $5,000 monthly, and how much territory am I covering? So let's just assume that is monthly, and let's say I'm covering Orange County, right? So I would take $1,500 and spend it on foundational stuff. And so by foundational, I mean credibility and presence. So I would be website, branding, a Google business profile. Okay. So that's $1,500. Then I'd take $2,000 and I'd spend it on lead generation. So that's people ready to buy, trying to get into that space. And, whether it's print or some digital or whatever, whatever the space is, but $2,000 on just straight lead generation. and I'd take 1,000 and I'd spend it on local trust and referrals. So yard signs, door hangers, community sponsorships, maybe putting your name on the local softball team, kids softball, that kind of stuff.
Mm.
And then I would take the last $500 and do reviews and social proof. So incentivize happy clients to leave Google reviews, maybe a professional photo shoot so
Mm.
people can see all your images.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, yeah, $5,000, it goes pretty quick.
I love that. That's so like genuine and honest. You're obviously working with the HomeMag. You could have just said, "Hey, use that 5,000 to put
Right.
it into the HomeMag." But
Right.
I think that gives people like a really good perspective on how you need to how you can start to gain traction. And what you just said, which I think is something we can definitely improve on, is going to be the yard signs. Like we have yard signs here, but it's not always something that goes into our process every single time for us to go ahead and put a yard sign into every project we're doing.
Right.
But by not doing that, we're not tapping in fully into that community trust.
Right.
We'll have the project manager go around, leave door hangers around, let the neighbors know that, hey, if there's any noise or any problems, please let us know. If you ever need an inspection, we're here, kind of thing. But
Right.
the yard sign is actually a huge thing. That's such an easy thing to do that I think a lot of people miss. And it's cool how you kind of map out that whole kind of basic marketing strategy you could do to get the awareness out there. I really like that.
Sure.
What's the number one mistake most contractors make when they advertise?
Well, I think we talked about that just a little bit earlier, and that is talking about themselves, right? Instead of showing how they solve the customer's problems, right? So I think, like I gave you an example of like, we've
For
been in
sure.
business 20 years. We're licensed and insured. We do quality work where strong advertising contractor maybe flips the scripts and says, leading with the customer problem solution, right? Leaky roof, we fix it,
For
things
sure.
along those lines. Showcasing proof and trust building talking points. And I think the biggest thing is offering clear next steps, right? Because the one thing, and once again, I'm just going to get back to psychology as I always do, the one thing that we're all genuinely afraid of is uncertainty in the future, right? And so it's no different with advertising. Here's a guy I'm going to call. I have no idea what the outcome is going to be. The more you can project in the ad what the potential outcome could be, the better I feel about moving the transaction forward. So a lot of just people forget just to deal with basic psychology when you're putting together an ad. Walk people off the ledge. They're already on the ledge. That's why they're calling you. Got a problem, right? It's I've been doing marketing for 35 years, and I think I'm smarter than the average sales rep, so I can't be sold to. But magically, every month, I'm sold. People sell to me, right? And the way I square it up in my mind is I didn't get sold. Somebody solved a problem for me, right? But I promise you, the guy on the other end, cha-ching, another sale.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's all the way that you frame it. If you can frame it by you're solving problems for people, no one's ever going to feel like they've been sold to. And so I'll give you an example. This was a couple years ago. I was having a Super Bowl party. I was going to have buddies over, and I didn't like the size of my TV. So I went down to Best Buy, or I forget where it was. I think it was Best Buy. I said, I need to get a way bigger TV than I have, and I'm not great with running wires. That's not something I want to deal with. And so the guy was like, he walked me through the whole thing. Hey, we got installers. We can do all this, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, great. Problem solved. Let's get the TV. We walked up to the counter. Guess what I didn't do the whole time when we went from the back area up to the front, when we got up to the front, guess what I didn't ask him?
What?
What it cost.
Because he solved your problem, so it's like as long as we
Didn't care. I should.
Yeah.
But if a problem's being solved for you, that's a bigger issue than the price,
For
right?
sure.
And so when we talk to our advertisers, I always say, well, what's the biggest issue? Price or value? If you're putting a greater weight on value, the price becomes irrelevant. And usually the value is in ROI. If you're getting the correct ROI, the price becomes irrelevant. But everybody, a lot of times that's how we're trained. It's like price, 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 price. Got to focus on value. If you present the value correctly, the price becomes irrelevant.
What is like your way of knowing, or a metric that you look at to know if an ad is actually working or if you're just burning cash?
Um, well, a couple of different metrics that you could look at is, first of all, what's the intent of the ad, right? So are we doing direct lead generation? Are we doing branding? What are we trying to achieve with your ad?
Maybe it would be good if you could explain the difference. Like,
Sure.
what would be the difference between branding and...
So branding is, you're an established brand, but you're with branding, you're usually trying to get market share and awareness of a product that you have, and you're just trying to stay at the top of the funnel, right? When you think of a lead funnel, there's the top of the funnel, and as it works its way down, it goes through different steps where it gets down to the very bottom of the funnel before it closes. So, if you're wanting direct response, you're already at the bottom of the funnel, and branding would be at the top of the funnel. So, it's all part of the greater sales process. So I would say, like, if it's direct response, well, there's a couple of things, a couple of measurable variables that you could look at. Is one way is to, what's your cost of marketing, right? So I would say, okay, what's your average job ticket? Let's say it's $10,000. Okay, and what percentage of leads do you close? Let's say it's 30. Okay, so let's say if I got you 10 leads with an average job ticket of $10,000, you'd get $30,000 in gross sales at a 30% margin. It would be $9,000. What did the ad cost you? Let's say it's $1,000. So 1/9, you're looking at, I don't know, cost of marketing somewhere around 12% or something like that. That seems to be a pretty good metric that this ad's working. So, that's one way that you could quickly look to chop it up. Another way that we've seen is, over the years, I've had clients start and stop with me. So I had and when they stop after a couple of months, when I've reached back out to them again, they've said, I can't, just doesn't feel like we have as much business. I can't really put my numbers on but it just doesn't feel like everything's been lifted. In our business, what ends up happening is we probably only get credit for 2/3 of the leads that we actually generate, because we're usually only tracked in the direct response channel, how many calls we actually drive to your phone.
From a tracking number.
From a tracking number, right? But the people that, because they see the ad in the magazine and they go to the website, and then maybe they call from the number on the website. But what drove them to the website? Okay. Maybe they kept the magazine and it incubated, and maybe it drove them to a social media page. Okay. And then from there they went. So there's all the, the intent of what it's.
That's the crux of tracking with marketing, because you could see a billboard, but the billboard drove you to the website. You could see the ad in the magazine, and that magazine, you've been saving it for 6 months until the rain came.
Right.
And just rip that page out, but you ended up calling the number you found on Google.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I guess, how do you solve that problem? Anyone who can solve that problem is.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard to, you can never find that direct, you're never going to know, right? The only way you would know is if you got to the house and they say, hey, I have this coupon I found in the magazine.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, okay, so that's how you found us.
As a general statement, this is something my team has heard me say, and I can't even remember where I got it. This is not my quote. But I would rather have somebody know about me and not need me than need me and not know about me.
Mm-hmm.
And, that is one of the activities of marketing, top of mind awareness. A longtime client of mine, Renewal by Anderson, the ad I just gave you. So the guy who started the Orange County chapter was a longtime advertiser with us before he sold the business to corporate. But one of the greatest quotes he ever said to me, it's indelibly impressed in my mind, is people don't buy windows every day, but every day somebody buys windows. And so when that if is today the day that the guy who's been looking at your ad for the last 6 months decides, "Yep, I need it today," who I'm gonna call? I've seen this guy in here all the time. He's put his time in, he's put his dues in. I'm gonna give this guy the call. That's kind of the way the Home Mag works. The people in our magazine who get the most calls are the people that have been running the longest, and it's not by fluke.
I think each territory is like around 100,000 people,
It's
right?
exactly 100,000, except for a Coachella Valley market, which is 80,000. But all our other territories are 100,000 distribution. Yeah.
Have tariffs, supply chain, or material cost changed the way companies market themselves?
Um, yeah. Geez. Um, what's happening is the messaging has pivoted from values to transparency, and promotions have shifted from discounts to guarantees. That's one big change we've seen. And sustainability and sourcing have become big. Like for our industry,
Like they're promoting the
yeah,
sustainable products that last long and
and supply chains. I'll give you an example. When the tariffs first hit, it was a pretty big deal issue for us to deal with
Mm.
because all the paper mills in North America are in Canada.
Mm.
Guess who got hit with Canada got hit with a bunch of tariffs, and it really was going to affect our costs. And so it was an issue for all of us at the Home Mag to that's a drastic, unexpected disruption in in not in our supply chain, but in our cost. So we've been able to work through those issues with sourcing from other countries. But yeah, I mean, it's just for 22 years where we got our paper from was just not an issue. So yeah, it's other businesses have had to, I know a lot, specifically iron, like people selling iron doors.
Mm.
They've massively been disrupted with tariffs from China. I mean, for the last 10 years, there was this pivot away from the Rust Belt in the US, maybe even longer than 10 years, and a switch to Chinese iron. And so almost every single iron door that was made now was probably being sourced from Chinese iron. So, yeah, there's a massive disruption in the cost of iron.
I didn't realize with iron, but or the paper but when a change happens like that on like a global scale, it does disrupt a lot of industries
Hmm.
um and the businesses have to figure out how to pivot like you guys did with sourcing from another country.
Absolutely.
Um, when should a business double down on print? And when should they shift to digital?
Um, once again, I'll say who are their target marketing,
Hmm.
who's their target market, and are they looking for direct response or branding, right? So if you want to get direct response, I think print is a solid vehicle, and especially in this economy. And here's why. It's I say it's more of a pull strategy than a push strategy. So if I'm comparing print to digital, um, with let's just say a guy was running an ad in the Home Mag and a guy was running an Instagram campaign and they were selling the same product. Okay. Let's just say they're selling roofs. So now I'm the target market and I'm sitting at home and I'm on Instagram and I'm trying to get caught up on my niece's birthday party in Chicago. And that's what I'm focused on. And I'm scrolling and boom, interrupted with a roof ad. Am I conditioned to receive that? No. I want to see people blowing out birthday candles and whatever. And so I'm going through. With the Home Mag, because we don't have any advertorial in there, it's ads next to ads. When a reader picks up the Home Mag and looks at the Home Mag, their mind is conditioned for one thing. I got home improvement on the brain. I'm being pulled here because I'm preconditioned. I need something. So I'm going to open up this product and hopefully I find it in here. There's a big difference between a push and a pull strategy.
That's very interesting, actually. With and you kind of already touched on this earlier, but like when you look at like TikTok ads or Instagram ads, right, versus a postcard in the mail, um, you were saying so the question I had was, do you think TikTok ads or a postcard in the mail builds more trust with homeowners? I think we talked about that a lot earlier with the trust of having that ad.
Right.
What do you think of like those TikTok ads or like this disruptive ad? Is just completely people just kind of miss it, or do you think it's over time there should be a mix of both, or
Well, once
to
again,
be successful?
I'd ask for your demographic, right?
So if you're selling roofs, right?
Well, let's break it down. Boomers right now, they're between 71 and 79 years old. Gen Xers between 49 and 59. Millennials are between 31 and 48. Okay? So, who are you targeting? That's the first question. We're doing a marketing. We're not marketing to the mass. I mean, if who do I want to target?
Who's our target market?
Who's our target market?
It's going to be a homeowner,
Okay.
or a property or a commercial property owner.
Okay. So who do you out of those groups?
Who owns the property? If you had to pick one,
Yeah.
Definitely it's going to be the older demographic, right? I would say probably like 35, 40 plus is realistic.
Sure.
But the ones who actually probably want to spend have already gone through dealing with the cheapest contractor, already gone through all those issues, are going to be the people probably on their second or third house, and
exactly
they've experienced, they probably have the house paid off at this point.
And the biggest difference is the guy who's between 31 and 48. He may actually own a house. He actually may own a business, but he's probably only owned it for 5 years, and it's probably his first. Whereas the guy who's between 49 and 59, this might be his second or third, and he's in a very different place. So just because you're a homeowner, like at what are you, homeowner, super homeowner, or just new to homeowning? You know what I mean? And there's a bigger difference.
What is the difference?
Well, if you've already owned a home, right? Everybody remembers the first time they bought their house, like all the trials and tribulations, and they didn't understand what, you have to become a mortgage expert, and you learn terms, HELOCs and ARMs and all the different features of, different mortgage products. And they don't mean it, do I have equity in my house? When you first buy a house, I mean, your equity is low, depending on your down payment, of course.
Right.
But
assuming it's the first house.
Yeah, assuming it's your first house, you're in some kind of basic new homeowner thing. And so, yeah, you really have to quantify home ownership. Like, at what level of home ownership are you in? If you've owned your house for 20 years, you probably have, in Southern California, you probably have 2 or 3 or maybe even $400,000 worth of equity. So now you can qualify for, a HELOC to pull some money out to do some home improvement. So it's a big difference. Like that's why
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, you've got to segment.
You're set up differently.
You've got to segment who you're after, and it can't be a generic question for everybody. You can if you want to. I just think you're not going to be as successful. Here's an example I'd give you. If your heart is troubling you, are you going to go to your GP or a cardiologist?
Cardiologist.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, GP, he might be able to give you some answers. So, but you're going to segment your solutions.
You want to talk to the specialist.
Exactly. It's no different with marketing. When you segment it, you want to specialize what you're segmenting.
So, what do you think is the biggest misconception about the HomeMag?
That we're just a print publication. We're actually so much more than that. Especially in the last couple of years, we've actually made some very strategic pivots at the corporate level to incorporate some digital products into what we're already doing. So we have the base foundation of what we're doing in print. So a couple of things. One of the things that we've done is we've gotten into email marketing, but not just email marketing, as a regular email blast compliant. So how we've chose to get into the game is, so the 100,000 homes that we mail to, we're saying we can actually do a match of about between 40 and 50% of those 100,000 homes that got the magazine in their mailbox. We can have email matches for 40 to 50%. So we can actually retarget them by email. So now we're hitting the mailbox and the inbox. So it's, it's a dual prong approach. And so that's one product. Then we also have what I mentioned earlier about how marketplaces are starting to become more and more embedded in the fabric of, how our marketers act today, or how consumers respond. So we've created our own marketplace, and it works in conjunction with our Certified Pro program. So what that is our Certified Pro program does a 9-point background check on our advertisers. And so we're saying we've actually pre-screened all these people with these 9 steps, and we believe in them so much. So we screen them for their experience, their reputation, their license, to make sure they're insured, to make sure they're financially solvent, free of material legal problems, a verified home improvement business dedicated to responsibility and maintaining and displaying their certification, and ethical in compliance with our code of ethics. So we run them through that background check. And then we give them a badge that we put on the ad in the magazine to say these are Certified Pro. And then once we run them through that process, we say we believe in these guys so much that if they go out on a job that we generate for them and something goes wrong with the job in California, your CLSB bond is 20 grand. Okay. We'll throw another 5 grand on that bond if something goes cattywampus with the job. That's how much we believe in these advertisers that we've screened.
It's called your Certified Pro program.
And yeah. So,
Wow.
So we put skin in the game. Hey, hey, reader, these are people that we've screened. Please let them come bid on your jobs and let them do your jobs. We believe in them, and we're willing to put cash up to say that we believe in them. No other company's doing that. No other magazine's doing that.
That's a huge guarantee to give to your customers.
What's the old saying? Put your money where your mouth is. That's what we're doing.
As far as the how you guys decide who makes it into the magazine and who doesn't, what does that process look like?
Well, so it used to be where it's shifting. So right now, to get into our magazine, you need to have a valid license standing with the CLSB, and you need to be in good standing with the Better Business Bureau. So that's the minimum requirement to get in. But we're starting to transition where we're going to want everybody in the magazine to be Certified Pro, because it makes a better product. And when you have a better product, you have consumers saying, I want to only do business with contractors from TheHomeMag. Why? Because they've run these extra steps. We're rising tide lifts all boats. We're trying to raise the standard for everybody, and not just here in California, nationwide. We're trying to do this everywhere. Our corporate office in Florida is, really spearheading this movement. And so this is something that everybody's buying into doing.
How do you guys keep a multi-million-dollar year magazine relevant in a world obsessed with Instagram and YouTube today?
Well, I think getting back to what I was saying on it being a pull strategy rather than a push strategy, what makes it relevant is the way I like to explain it is we curate a marketplace every month. Okay. And so how we do that is we pick what people we're going to mail the magazine to, that they're single family owner occupied homes with high level FICO scores, with sufficient disposable income, in homes, over $1 million in most of the areas that we target. And so that's the marketplace that we're curating, right? And every month we're saying, hey, listen, we want to invite our advertisers to get into this marketplace and be able to participate from this marketplace that we've curated. And we think that it's a high level of probability that if somebody needs to do business, it's going to come from this particular group. And so I think that makes us relevant. Whereas if you look at like a Google pay-per-click campaign, or AdWords, or banner advertising through other websites or even meta advertising, where we're just going to we're going out to the mass public, you know? I mean, you don't get people, renters, in our magazine. Um, there's nothing more frustrating for an advertiser to get a call and say, okay, yeah, I'm going to come bid on a job. And it's like, okay, if you give me a good bid, but I got to run this past the landlord. Or like, oh, you know, and we're just wasting their time by doing that. So we curate this marketplace where we take all those potential false starts out for the advertisers. So now they can say, hey, when I'm with the HomeMag, at least I know when my phone's ringing from the HomeMag, there's going to be a viable lead on the other side for me. Now it's my job to go close it.
How do you guys get that data? Like, how do you get such a clean list of
Well,
qualified homeowners with FICO scores and all those things you
yeah,
mentioned, and
so we
owner occupied?
we spend a lot of money on curating the data. We work with a strategic partner of ours that generates high quality lists. They're refreshed every month. We target new owners and new movers because when you first, within 6 months of moving into a house is probably the time you're going to spend the most. I was just at a conference recently where that that may have changed. They're talking about now it may be within the first 2 years of moving into a house. So that's kind of a fluid number. For the longest time, it's been like for the first 6 months. And so we actively, through the data provider we have, we can actively target these people. If you're a contractor with us and you get a new mover, and let's just say you're a general contractor, you're a generalist. I mean, you might get a kitchen remodel, a roof, a pool installation. I mean, from that one lead, I mean, what's that worth to you? It's got to be worth a fortune. So we want to try and have as many of what we call super consumers in the magazine every month, teed up, waiting for our advertisers to go and be able to connect with them.
Do you mind sharing who that data provider is? Are you able to?
I'm not, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm not.
No worries. And so, what's the most rewarding part of seeing small businesses explode because of an ad they ran with you?
So, the most rewarding thing for me has been is it's a longtime client of mine. When I get a call from him and he tells me he got a $500,000 job from the Home Mag, and I know he runs at a 30% profit margin.
That's pretty awesome.
That's you start adding up those zeros pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
that happens pretty frequently. Once or twice a year, you'll hear big jobs like that where we're able to generate.
That's awesome. Looking back, what's the one thing you would have done differently in your career?
I would have practiced the absurd more. And I'll tell you why. Because eventually the absurd becomes mainstream. For example, I wish I would have learned to code 30 years ago. Coding's becoming more and more mainstream now. 30 years ago, it was more the absurd.
What's the absurd thing you see now?
Well, AI is absolutely absurd.
But if somebody focuses in on that now, it's going to be very mainstream.
Absolutely.
What's harder, leading a creative team or scaling sales to millions a year?
Oh, hands down, scaling sales. Sales is a never-ending job. Leading a team, once you've done it once, it's easy to do it. And you can, to some degree, make the argument that if you've scaled in one product, you can do it in another. But each business has its own challenges. When I came to the HomeMag, I had been working as a marketing director for the spa industry for 8 years before I came to the HomeMag. And I tried to bring all my best practices with me and tried to foist them onto contractors, and didn't go so well for me. I had to relearn everything I know. So sometimes, growing sales in a completely different vertical, you have to force yourself to relearn. So for me personally, growing sales is harder.
What's your daily non-negotiable that keeps you sharp in business?
Got to walk between 3 and 5 miles a day.
Wow.
Can't move on without it.
Do
Usually
you,
3 in the morning and 2 at night.
wow. Do you have to wake up early to do that?
Yeah, I do fairly early, but it's just even if I'm on vacation or whatever, it's just something it's baked in.
Why do you do it? Clear your head or?
Well, both to create muscle memory for the future, because when I'm 80, my mom, who isn't active now, is kind of the inspiration for why I should be active. And in the retirement facility where she lives, her neighbor is 99,
Wow.
skinny, and walks every day. And I remember when I moved mom in there 4 years ago, when we were talking to this gal, she left and she was walking out the door, and I just heard her say, "Gotta move, gotta stay active." You could tell this gal had been doing this all her life. And I was like, and here she is at this age. It's like, this is where I want to be. And in order to be that at 90, you better start forming those habits at an early age.
How long have you been doing that?
20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
5 miles a day.
5 miles a day.
How long does it take you to do 3 miles in the morning?
55 minutes. Do about
Okay.
17 to 18-minute miles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. My mom does morning walks all the time, and she loves it. She says it's just like the best thing to start her day.
It is. I mean, you clear your head. I mean, I listen to books on tape when I'm walking. If I
Nice.
walk by myself,
Yeah.
half the time my wife will walk with me. And so
Nice.
then it's a chance to visit.
Cool.
And usually in the evenings, it's always my wife, so it's a chance to visit. Once again, it's baked in. You're exercising, catching up at the same
awesome.
time. Yeah.
If you weren't running the HomeMag, what business would you start tomorrow?
2 things, either a marketing company or I would be a fishing guide in the Alps.
I like that. Why fishing? You love fishing?
I've fished all my life, but the last 10 years I really got into fly fishing. And so I'm really
How does that
passionate
work
about
exactly?
fly fishing.
Yeah, I've never done it.
Well, in order to be successful, you need to be an amateur ecologist, because you really need to know what's in the water and at that time of the year. So it becomes of like being a little bit of observing what's going on. Guys that are really into it will catch fish and take an eyedropper and extract what their stomach contents are, look at it, and then, start tying on those flies. I'm not that extreme yet,
Wow.
but you really need to be aware of your,
What does it mean, fly fishing? Like you?
look up with a fly rod, right? It's
Okay.
it's a rod with a floating line that
Okay.
you basically articulate and create momentum. With a regular rod, you're using the weight of the lure to cast.
Uh-huh.
With a fly rod, it's actually the weight of the line that moves the fly. So all the
Interesting.
inertia is created with the line.
And where did you say you would do it?
I do it in the Alps in northern Italy.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Have you been there?
I have.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful. Absolutely.
Okay, so I think we went through most of the questions here that I had. Where can people find you, follow your journey, and invest alongside you?
Well, my LinkedIn profile. So, and our HomeMag website. I mean, all those are the standard places to get me in business.
Awesome. Erwin Dass, that was powerful. I appreciate you pulling back the curtain and sharing your journey, the wins, the losses, the mindset, and the strategy. These are the kind of conversations that move people forward, and I know this one's going to stick with our audience. Thanks for tuning in to Built to Scale. If you got value from today's episode, do me a quick favor, subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone building something great. Your support helps the show grow and makes it easier for me to bring on even bigger names and incredible guests like Erwin, so thank you. Follow me at Quinn Vincent on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and TikTok for daily behind-the-scenes insights and momentum to fuel your journey. Until next time, keep building, keep believing, and remember, legacy isn't given, it's built.